You'd think it would be simple, right? A new, modern license plate for vehicles. But in Nepal, this one little project has somehow sparked nearly a decade of public anger, huge legal battles, and massive delays. So what's the deal? Let's dig in and find out why this simple piece of metal has become such a national headache.
I mean, that really is the big question, isn't it? How does something so routine, something every country does, become one of the most controversial public projects in Nepal's recent history? We're going to unpack that.
All right, so the latest chapter in this long saga, it looks like the government has finally had enough of the delays. They're putting their foot down and setting a hard deadline, basically forcing the issue once and for all. And here's the date, September 17th, 2025. The government is saying that by then, all vehicles have to be fitted with these new embossed number plates. And look, this isn't some friendly suggestion, it's mandatory. If you're registering a new car, transferring ownership, or even just renewing your papers, you have to get this plate.
Now, on paper, you can see what the government was going for. The intentions actually sound pretty good. The whole idea was to create this modern, high-tech system to make everything more efficient. The plates have RFID chips, they're machine-readable, it's all supposed to help track stolen vehicles, make sure people are paying their taxes, and just generally drag vehicle management into the 21st century.
So, if the goals sound so great, why is everybody so angry? Well, to really understand the public's frustration, we have to rewind a bit and look at this project's long and, let's be honest, incredibly troubled history.
So get this, the contract was awarded way back in 2016, but almost right away, bam, it hits a legal wall. The Supreme Court actually stopped the whole thing because of a language dispute. See, the plates used English script, not the traditional Nepali Devanagari. It took 6 years, all the way until 2023, just to sort that out. And all of that brings us to today, with a new deadline for a project that's already nearly a decade behind.
Okay, so here's the thing. The delays weren't just about the language on the plate. No, there are some really deep, serious issues here that have made people furious. Let's break down the 4 biggest reasons why. First up, and this is a big one, the price. Just look at these numbers. For a car in Nepal, you're paying 3,200 rupees. Now look right next door in India. A similar high-security plate is 5 to 6 times cheaper. That right there is where all the public suspicion really begins.
And you can see why that price difference is such a huge problem. It leads directly to this kind of sentiment. People aren't seeing good value, they're seeing a ripoff, they suspect corruption, the word scam has been tied to this thing for years, and that's created this massive wall of mistrust.
And as if that wasn't enough, let's talk about the company that got the contract. This joint venture, Decatur Tiger IT, well, it was later blacklisted by the World Bank. Why? For fraud on a project in Bangladesh. And yet, the Nepali government has extended this company's contract twice. You can just imagine how that looks to the public. So you might be asking yourself, why on earth would the government keep pushing this obviously failing project? Well, this number, 95%, might just be the answer. According to reports, the contract requires Nepal to pay out 95% of the total project value to the company, get this, even if the project is a total failure. It's a crazy clause that basically locks the government in, forcing them to see it through, no matter how broken it is.
Okay, issue number 3, the infrastructure is a disaster. The whole point of these high-tech plates is the RFID gates that read them. The contractor promised to build 100 of them. 100. And after all these years, how many are actually working? 2. Just 2. The core technology is basically useless without the network to support it.
Oh, but wait, it gets worse. It's not just the physical hardware that's missing. Apparently, some officials are reporting that the government's own software, the vehicle registration system, can't even read the numbers on the new plates properly. So the whole high-tech system is, for all practical purposes, just not functional.
All right, so let's step back and just look at the raw numbers, because they really do paint a grim picture of just how little has actually been done in almost a decade.
I mean, this is just staggering. Look at this. After almost 10 years, out of about 6 million vehicles in Nepal, only around 80,000 have the new plates. That's a little over 1%. The progress has been, to put it mildly, glacial.
And this table here, this really shows you where the breakdown is. The crazy part is, the contractor has actually made 800,000 plates, but almost all of them, 720,000, are just sitting in a warehouse somewhere, uninstalled. This isn't a manufacturing problem, it's a colossal failure in logistics and actually getting the job done. So let's recap. You've got a project that's way too expensive, fundamentally broken, and pretty much everybody hates it. So what does the government do next? Well, it looks like they're making a huge gamble.
If you can't convince people, you force them. And the plan is pretty simple, really. They're going to work with the traffic police to enforce this new rule and start handing out fines. We've actually seen this before. They fined government vehicles that failed to comply 2,000 rupees. So you can bet private citizens are probably next in line for similar penalties.
So think about what this means for the average person. You're being told you now have to go through this incredibly tedious, frustrating process. We're talking multiple trips to different government offices, navigating this whole complex system, and you have to do it all just to avoid getting fined for a system you don't trust and that doesn't even work properly.
So here's the bottom line. The government is now making it mandatory for every citizen to pay for a system that is overpriced, is run by a controversial company, and most importantly, doesn't actually work as promised. They're basically forcing a broken solution on the entire country.
Which leaves us with one final giant question. Can the government really fix a broken system just by forcing everyone to comply? Or is this new deadline just going to pour fuel on the fire and ignite another firestorm of public resistance? I guess the